Welcome back. You're watching WION World is One. My name is Mohammed Saleh, and this, of course, is the big story that we are tracking on WION at this hour. There is a political crisis that is brewing in Pakistan. In a couple of hours from now, we'll perhaps get to know the result of what is going to be the fate of the Imran Khan government. But at this point of time, as we speak, the big news that, of course, is coming in is that there is a no-confidence motion that has been submitted to remove the Speaker of the National Assembly. The Speaker is Asad Qaiser. And what is interesting is that the opposition parties have brought, before the no-confidence motion is brought against the Imran Khan government, they've brought a no-confidence motion against the Speaker, Asad Qaiser. They've accused him of partisan approach, and they've said all along this process of the no-confidence vote against the PTI government led by Imran Khan, Asad Qaiser, the Speaker, has behaved in a partisan approach. And to give us more insights into this, we're joined in by our Islamabad Bureau Chief, who's joining us live at this point of time. Anas, this is a very interesting turn of events. You know, we were expecting a no-confidence vote against the PTI government led by Imran Khan, but the opposition parties are first going after the Speaker of the National Assembly, where they've now submitted a no-confidence motion against the Speaker, Asad Qaiser. Tell us more about it.
Well, absolutely, Saleh. This is along expected lines. We've seen previously the role of the Speaker being criticized by the opposition parties for his, what they say was a partisan approach and that it was a blatantly one-sided approach. That's what the opposition had been saying. And now today, just hours before the vote of no confidence, I'm standing inside the National Assembly of Pakistan, and just hours before the vote of no confidence, we're seeing that the opposition has submitted the no confidence motion against the Speaker as well. Now, Speaker is Asad Qaiser from the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. He was previously the Speaker of the KP Assembly as well, where previously the Imran Khan led government had ruled as well. They're currently in power there as well as we speak. But as I said, this was along expected lines. What is very interesting is that, just as I talked to you, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari from the Pakistan People's Party, the chairperson of the Pakistan People's Party, he has tweeted and he's captioned it "surprise," quote unquote, while tagging the Speaker and the Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan. What is very interesting of this fact is because the Pakistani Prime Minister and the government has been baiting continuously that they have a surprise rolled up their sleeves that is to be unveiled today, along the same time when the no confidence vote is to happen, and just hours before, the opposition says that they've come up with their own surprise. Saleh?
Absolutely, indeed. Now, at this point of time, Anas, I want you to dwell a little bit about, what this no confidence motion against the Speaker means, because any motion that is submitted in an assembly, one would think, will have to be admitted by the Speaker. So now that a no confidence motion has been brought against the Speaker, what happens? Is this a mere token approach by the opposition, or is the opposition at this point of time looking to change the Speaker before they bring in a no confidence motion against the government?
Well, to answer your last question first, the opposition intends on changing the Prime Minister first. That is their litmus test. Now, that is against their expectations. Everybody thought, including all of the analysts, that the opposition would be first bringing in the no confidence motion against the Speaker as a litmus test, and then they will be going against the Prime Minister. But it is the other way around. So this goes on to show two things. One, they have lesser trust in the Speaker. Two, they intend on changing. Three, they are very certain that they have the numbers. As we speak, that is the key point. The government for now has been claiming that it has the numbers, it has the majority, but today will be crucial. And in case if Prime Minister Imran Khan loses or his party loses, which looks like will be the case, given that on the apparent number game, at least prima facie, that's where they lack,
right,
then the change for Speaker or in-house change for Speaker is inevitable. Saleh?
Absolutely, indeed. Now, it remains to be seen as to how all of this will, of course, play out, because in the House of the Parliament, it is the word of the Speaker that generally prevails. And it'll be very interesting to see as to how all of this will play out. This submitting a motion of no confidence against the Speaker by the opposition is, of course, a very interesting way of putting forth their first gambit. But Anas, you were speaking a little while back with the former Prime Minister, Shahid Khaqan Abbas. You raised an important question with him. You said, is it possible at all that the House could be disrupted today before the voting actually can take place? Is that a possibility that we are looking at, where the motion could be tabled, but before the voting takes place, the House could be disrupted because of unruly behavior by the parliamentarians?
Of course, that is a probability, Saleh. We've previously seen that happening on Thursday. And if I were to explain how it works, is because there are multiple agenda items on the agenda for the assembly. So it's not necessary that the motion or vote of no confidence is up first. It's usually down around the number fourth agenda item. The first is, of course, the opening of the session with the recitation of Quran and the Naat. And after that, there is a question hour. On Thursday, what we saw in the question hour was very interesting. The question hour was opened. Three of the opposition MPs were given questions. They all redirected their questions towards the speaker, and the speaker made it a point saying that the opposition does not seem to be serious in carrying out this session, and therefore he had adjourned it. So, in case if something similar happens today, we can possibly see that. Nobody knows what is in the mind of the speaker, but one thing what we know for sure is that the PTI government, or PTI by and large, has been heavily banking on the speaker's role, and that is very, very crucial to the proceedings of today. Whether or not the vote takes place, what happens, whether it gets adjourned, whether there is disruption, whether there is chaos, only time can tell, and that we'll know in about an hour and a half from now, roughly an hour from now. In fact, it's 10:20 here in Islamabad, and 11:30 is when the session is scheduled to begin. So all of these questions that have a bigger question mark at the end will be answered in a very short while from now. Saleh?
Absolutely, indeed. Now, it's all very speculative at this point of time. It is difficult to predict as to which way the numbers stack, because the alliances seem to be constantly shifting, where members who were a part of the government, along with Imran Khan, they've shifted camps. And it's difficult to, in fact, predict as to how people within Imran Khan's own party, his own legislators, may, in fact, vote in the case that a vote happens. But at this point of time, Anas, what are you picking up from the ground? How is Imran Khan stacking up in terms of the numbers inside of the National Assembly?
Well, at this point of time, they have 165 visible numbers. But the bigger problem at this point of time remains is at who is an Imran loyalist, who is a PTI loyalist. Looks like nobody is to be trusted. Most of those in PTI were turncoats. And that is what the bigger problem is, because those turncoats are now essentially the dissidents. Just a short while back, the Pakistani Prime Minister has sacked his governor Punjab. The Punjab, the province that is ruled by his party in majority, they have about 183 members, 182 members in Punjab, and despite of that, he had to sack his own governor for one reason, for what he believed, or what the report said, that he was conspiring against his own government. So the bigger challenge at hand remains is of trust, and that is something that Imran Khan is very skeptical about, to who to trust or not, because his closest of the stalwarts have jumped the ship, visibly jumped the ship, and only a handful of the people remain as we speak, a part of his cabinet, those who are going public and defending him out in the public as well. Saleh?
And also, at this point of time, because all of this is still a speculation game, Imran Khan, in his addresses, has said that he is someone who never gives up. He plays till the very last ball. But as the numbers appear at this point of time to be clearly stacked up against him, will Imran Khan want to go ahead with a no-confidence motion, or is there a possibility that he is looking at where you'd want to dissolve the parliament and call for snap elections?
Dissolving the parliament is not an option at this point of time. And that is the bigger problem, because the constitution says it very clearly. Once the no confidence motion is submitted, then that's that. Then everything practically with regards to dissolution of the parliament comes at a seizure. And that is what the bigger problem remains for Imran Khan. He has only one option: to resign and not face the no confidence motion and go home, which he said is not an option for him. He said that he is not he's not somebody who gives up, and that is what remains as well. That if he's not giving up and if he's fighting the no confidence motion, then we would be seeing high drama in about less than an hour from now at the Pakistani National Assembly. remains to be seen what will be the final vote count. But one thing that is very certain, that Imran Khan and his party men are to face the vote of no confidence. But what is the surprise that they've been talking about? Everybody would be hooked on that, and all eyes would be on that particular surprise. There are speculations for that surprise as well, that there can be an en masse resignation, but there is no official word on that as we speak. Saleh?
Absolutely, indeed. That is something that remains to be seen. At this point of time, also on us, the fact that the opposition has first gone after the speaker, Asad Qaiser, they've said that his behaviour all throughout the tabling of this no confidence motion has been very partisan. Tell us a little bit more about Asad Qaiser, and it's at this point of time difficult to predict as to what will happen once the no confidence motion is, of course, submitted, and how things will play out. But the role of the speaker remains very crucial in this.
Before I answer your question with regards to the role of speaker, the update has just come in that the government has called for an emergency session of its own parliamentarians in the Parliament House, which is happening about 2 floors beneath me, and it is to start in a very short while from now in the government chamber of the National Assembly. The secretary of the National Assembly and senior officials will be briefing on the technical aspects and the lawful aspects of this no confidence motion, and parliamentary secretary and state ministers will also be attending, and that they will be devising a strategy going forward. On the other hand, those dissidents within the PTI, they've just arrived inside the opposition chamber as well. So the speaker's role comes into play. It's a bigger question at this point of time, and that is the reason the opposition alleges that they have he's played a partisan role, and that is the reason he's been brought. But by and large, there might just be some truth as well. The speaker is the custodian of the house, and despite of that, the opposition has visibly not been very happy with the strategy and approach that the speaker has opted for. Saleh?
Absolutely, indeed. Anas, thank you very much indeed for joining us and getting us all those updates. In roughly an hour's time from now, we expect that crucial no confidence motion vote to actually take place. It remains to be seen as to how all of this, of course, plays out, because it's all in the realm of possibility. How things stack up. Does Imran Khan have enough numbers with him on the floor of the House in the National Assembly? How many of them will turn out to vote? How many will abstain? How many will vote for the government? And how many will vote against the government? All of this. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.